You're watching News Channel 3 Live at 9 with Alex Coleman and Mary Beth Conway.
Welcome back to Live at 9. These days, many couples rush into relationships and may get attached to each other, maybe through sex or living together, before they really make a decision that they want to be together forever.
And that is for sure. Lora, Jobe, and Barbara Prescott address the problem in their new book. It's called My Heart Got Married, and I Didn't Know It. And ladies, welcome to Live at 9. Good to see you. We all go way back here. If nothing else, the title of this book is going to grab your attention. What essentially does it mean there?
We hope that the title grabs the attention of the reader and anyone who's thinking about this. What we're describing is a phenomenon that's been around for a long time, but we're giving it a name, and that is heart marriage. And that's when couples become intimately bound by practicing the behaviors of marriage without articulating the desire or the agreement to be married.
Like sleeping together, living together, that sort of thing. What's wrong with that? Because a lot of people will say, I remember when it, I guess, was it the 70s when it became kind of acceptable and people said, well, it's good practice.
Right, it's a way to get to know that other person, so they say.
It's absolutely, but studies show more people divorce if they've lived together prior to marriage than don't.
Actually, they do show that.
So why is it a problem?
Well, there are two things that can happen with a couple in this case. For one thing, before getting into that, you're really circumventing the real development of a relationship, because the emotional intimacy and involvement is happening first. But what we have observed, and our book is anecdotal, is that couples will either be propelled into a marriage that has many red flags. It's the relationship has been not totally functional, but it seems like the only thing left to do. Or the other possibility that occurs a lot of times is that couples stay together for years and never marry, yet one of the individuals really would like to be married, and particularly with women, the child rearing age goes by, and so there's a lot of opportunity lost there and heartache.
I'm wondering, how did this concept, the idea of the book, come about for you, especially this theme? Were you ladies discussing this on the Memphis City School Board? Were you both serving there and
during
said,
a break?
This is something we need to write about? How did that happen?
Well, I've been talking about it, really in many ways for years, you know, with friends and family, when I'd see this happening, and just sort of coined the term heart marriage. And so I was telling Barbara about it. One night we had gone to dinner, and she said, you know, this story really needs to be told. And in her counseling practice, she had seen this same thing happen, but just didn't have a name for it. And as we discussed it, she said, we really need to put this on paper and write a book.
Well, and it does give a logical explanation to why so many marriages that start with a couple living together do end in divorce. Because if you look at it logically, it kind of does make sense to find out what the person's like in the morning, to find out that he doesn't pick up his socks, all that stuff, day-to-day stuff. But I can see why it makes sense that it does put the cart before the horse. They don't make an intentional decision that we are going to marry and be together forever.
And what I had seen, and it was just so exciting when Lora was talking about this, because she had the term, is that many couples that will come in for marriage counseling, when you probe what's going on, you'll find that one of them will say, I had a reluctance when I walked down the aisle. I knew there was something, but I just couldn't break up. And so that's very problematic. What they didn't realize is that they were so bound together that breaking up sounded trivial. They almost needed to get married in order to get a divorce, and that's very backward and creates a lot of heartache.
Well,
so
yeah,
we
because
hope to
if
prevent
children
that.
are in the
Correct.
picture by that
Correct.
too, that's another whole dimension.
Correct.
Well, and what we found, while our stories are anecdotal, and what we've done is just living as a nurse and as a counselor, research does show that when men and women live together, they come to it for very different reasons. Men are often going to try out a relationship, where women are hoping it leads to marriage. But that is not discussed. Like, the man doesn't say to the woman, I'm going to try you out, and if it works, we'll get married. And the woman doesn't say, I'm going to do my best, and hopefully we'll get married. So you're starting your relationship off dishonestly.
So who can come out the loser here in most cases? Is it typically the woman? Is it typically more so the man? And we're not even including the children that can come out. Who can lose in a situation like this?
Well, I think both lose, particularly when the heart marriage turns into a bad marriage. Of course, both couples lose, both members of the couple. But even if it doesn't, women, of course, do have a narrower window of opportunity to have children.
Right.
So in that respect, they may be the bigger loser. But a man who's heart married, we have instances in our books of men who have experienced a great deal of heartache by being bound to this person. And
so because it is so socially acceptable to live together now, if you have children of an age, should you sit them down if they're making that decision and say, look, you need to, first of all, read this book, but you need to make an intentional decision that you really are both considering marriage before you make this decision. Yes?
You don't want to fall into a relationship or fall into a living arrangement that looks very much like marriage, embracing the behaviors of marriage when you don't want to be married. And so it's about living honestly and intentionally and owning what you want in life, if that's marriage or if that's not marriage.
And if you want marriage and he doesn't, don't move in.
And I think it's also understanding the power of those marriage type behaviors, that they really are very powerful in pulling a couple together. And so you really need to know what your direction is.
All right, the book is called My Heart Got Married, and I Didn't Know It.
And can I clarify, Bob does pick up his socks, okay? I didn't mean to imply. There's the website, just in case.
I think you were talking about me, but how would you know I don't pick up a...
I've heard.
That's another story there.
We'll be back.
All right, ladies, thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's so...